What's up, boomers? I want to tell you a story today about something that happened to me this past week as I was sitting there with my morning coffee. And it has to do with how I feel about legacy and my grandkids and investments that I might be able to do for them. But it's what I did that morning that has me most excited and is the point of this video. And what I'm going to share with you as boomers is something I believe will enrich and make our final years more rewarding and a lot more exciting. Stay with me, though, as I go through this. You know, I've talked about in previous video or two some financial decisions I made to start a business years ago and how I took my 401k savings to invest in a business because we're told that's the key to be in business for yourself, to have your own business. Well, obviously those things didn't work out, and it just made me think, and again, this video is one of my favorite actually, is if I had only taken that money and put it into an S&P 500 stock fund, an index fund, how much more safe that would be, even though I knew going in the statistics of failing in personal businesses is very high. But there's always these stories we're constantly seeing then and today about all the money you can do for yourself. So the end of that story is, I closed those businesses, and at the end of that had zero from those things. But at the time, another fatal mistake was I thought, well, I've got time. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And it was in my late 30s, early 40s, because if it did fail, which I was totally aware of, then I would have time to make that up in my future. And I wasn't making that much as a teacher, so I thought I'll do at least that and probably have better opportunities and jobs going forward. Big mistake there is the money you save early in your 20s and 30s, which is what I used to start the business, should have never touched, because it's that money, had I not touched it, just that alone, the few thousands of dollars would have compounded so that in your 50s, or in my now 60s, would have had a nest egg that would have been more than enough. Big mistake there. If you're younger, listen to that. What you save early, don't touch. I don't care how great or excited you are about having your own business. There's other ways you could start one. If I'd even just taken a portion of that money that I started the businesses with, it would be worth safely, I think I could say, would be worth over $1 million. I did have that kind of fun activity where I thought, if I'd known and just put a few thousand, 5,000, 10,000 into Amazon around the turn of the century there, that would have been worth over $40 million. Now, I do admit, and I'm not saying today that's what I'm looking at doing, but I do admit that no one would have done that. And talk about being irresponsible at that time, knowing where Amazon was as a company then. And, there's no way of knowing where it would be today. Anyway, it was a fun activity. But here's what I was, after my second cup of coffee on that morning this past week, here's what happened. So here I was the other morning drinking my mushroom coffee at the time, and I'm thinking about my grandkids and the world that we have today and the coming world, worrying a little bit. And I was feeling a little remorse that I don't have any financial reserves to leave my kids or my grandkids. So there wasn't going to be a traditional inheritance. So I was thinking there's got to be something I could do. And part of my legacy project that I'll be sharing more of as we go is a very important piece of what I want to leave. But I was thinking this on this particular morning, it'd be nice just to even have a few $1,000s for them. So what could I do? Find some way to leave them, something, if nothing else, could give them a head start when they get into their 20s or 30s from me, Pop. Sure, they're going to have the memories, which in my opinion will be the thing they'll most value in life. But wouldn't it be nice if they had something of value financially? And here was an idea. What if I could give each one of my grandkids a small investment, maybe like $1,000 in the form of a solid stock that I would invest now, taking on that principle of buy and hold and letting it compound, a good company in a growing industry and something they couldn't touch till they were young adults. It would teach them when they saw that Pop was thinking about them back in 2025, 2026 now. And with the power of that compounding long-term buy and hold in a solid company, they would learn a valuable lesson, I think, about investment. Regardless, it's the main idea: invest and hold, and they'll see that they'll know what I started with and what they would be getting in that time. And they would hopefully see the value in that. It'd be a valuable lesson for them to learn. It'd be a real life valuable lesson. But here's the problem. I didn't know how to set that up. I didn't know, which stocks to buy or whatever, although I have been doing research. And so I have an idea what I would do. And I might even just follow its simple advice of Warren Buffett that, to do what he's advised his kids to do in 2026 is invest in an index fund with the S&P 500. So it could be something that's simple. But I didn't know what kind of account they would need. I didn't know how they would access that account. I had no idea where to start. And here's where it gets interesting and exciting, I think, for us. In the old days, I think we would turn to financial newsletters that we would have to buy. We would read the newspaper. We would read the Wall Street Journal. We would read financial magazines, newspapers. I think that would be the main thing. We'd go to the card catalog. We would read books to help educate ourselves in what to do and how to do this. Or obviously, if we had the money, we would go and hire a planner, hire a stock brokerage, and take their advisement as to what to do. Now, one thing I've learned in that is way back in the 80s, there was a fund. I decided to have my own mutual fund, and I did the basic research, it wasn't online, but I can't remember. But I've heard of the American Century stock mutual fund. It was in Kansas City, I think. And I started investing in that. And I remember a financial planner, a stockbroker, actually came to me and wanted me to invest a little bit, what little money I had as a school teacher. And I said, well, I've got a mutual fund, and it's, I knew it was a really highly recommended fund. He said, how'd you learn about that? And I told him, and he just looked puzzled, man. He worked for Prudential. And he was like flabbergasted. He didn't have anything come back to me on. He did his own research and found out what he was going to offer me didn't compare to what I'd found on my own. But again, today, with the technology we have and what I found is we have some really powerful access to the information we need now at our fingertips. So the other morning, here's what I did. I sat down and got my phone out, and I went to, here's an example of how I used it. I said, well, let me ask ChatGPT. It's good to maybe use a couple of them. And what you're going to do is you have to see these things as having a really smart friend. Okay? Really smart. The smartest friend you'll ever have. And so I ask a question like this. I want to invest $1,000 for each of my grandkids in a stock that they would be able to access when they turn 21 or whatever year I would designate. How do I do this? And what happened next was remarkable. It was cool. I then had a conversation asking questions and getting answers to all my questions for about 20 minutes. And at the end of that 20 minutes, I not only had a clear path forward, how to do this, but also the instructions on literally how to set this up, because I have a Schwab account. And the AI asked me, do you have an account? Do you want information on what accounts would work for this? What companies? I just said, yeah, I have a Schwab account. Oh, it said, great. This is very simple. Here's what you do. So I'm going to look at some notes here that I have. So it came back with telling me about that what you'd want to do, at least in one scenario. It gave me a couple different scenarios because I had a couple different questions about what would be the best way to set it up. But the first one was the custodial account, a UTMA or a UGMA account that lets you invest for minors. And of course, I've never heard of this. And I know this is pretty common information, but not for the boomer. Then it explained how the accounts work, how I would control it until they're 18 or 21 or whenever I designate. And actually, it's 21. Once they turn into adults, they have access to it. And then, depending on the state you live in, it transfers that stock to them that they can do what they want with it. It's their money, but I'm kind of like managing it till they're adults. So it gave me all the specific steps. I even went into my app for Schwab, found everything it told me, and was ready to set it up. I could have set it up right then if I would have had all the information, like their social security numbers, et cetera. I just wanted to see if, number one, I could find it, and number two, what it looked like in it. It was simple. Let me be clear, this isn't financial advice. And it's doing the research that we can do using this information. And I'm going to get to the issue of trust here in a second. So hold on with me, because I can tell you, based upon the previous research I've done and the things I've read, what this was telling me was exactly what I was reading and confirmed out there by the experts on the finance channels. Here's my point. I took this idea of something I wanted to do, or wondering if I could do it. I asked ChatGPT, and in 20 minutes, I had my answer, and I felt pretty good about it. It's the same advice I would have gotten from a financial planner, a stockbroker, or whoever. I went from, I don't know how any idea how to do this, to I've got the roadmap and I understand the options. So think about it. What would have been maybe what we would have done otherwise? Would have done Google searches, gone through dozens and dozens of articles, spent hours reading probably contradictory information, maybe called a financial advisor, a consultant. And I know the financial advisors and consultants out there right now are kind of cringing, but that would be maybe one of the steps we take. And one of the steps we could still take, I could still take. But it could have easily taken me days, if not weeks, and still might have only led to a little bit more confusions. But this took me about 20, 25 minutes. So one conversation, less than a half hour, feeling very good and clear how and what to do. And what's cool is it's all saved. I can go in and look at it over and over. I could print it out and use it as a basis of notes for how I choose to go forward. So then I went and got another cup of coffee. I got to tell you, that's where things get dangerous with me. If this is where it really hit me. This wasn't just about stocks or saving an investment for the grandkids anymore. If AI could help me figure this out, something I really had no knowledge about, or at least limited knowledge, I had the question, what else might it be able to help me with? And then I thought about the boomer community, other retirees, and all the discussions that I've had with them and you about we're all being in the same boat. So how many of us are sitting there in the morning drinking our coffee with questions that we don't have the answers to? And what are those questions? If you've got a question like that, put it in the comments. Now, this is the exciting part. Some of the questions I've had and some of the questions that you may have are things like, I've got something going on with my health. Explain that to me. And I've actually used it for that, not taking medical advice, but trying to get information that helps me understand what my medical care is about, the medications they're talking about with me. It's been great for how do we, technology I can't figure out. Just the other day, was trying to get this external hard drive to work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't connect. ChatGPT helped me walk through it and fix it again in 15, 20 minutes. It's really open to just everything and anything. There's information available where in the old days we'd go out and find a book, a magazine, and in now we can ask a question and get immediate feedback. And while we're having our morning coffee, we can start saying, okay, let me address something here. I wrote down some notes. I know what you're thinking because I've heard it from friends, from people in my life, young and old, including myself. I don't trust this thing. I literally had someone at work tell me that yesterday. It scares me. I don't trust AI. It's going to steal my information. It's going to know everything about my life. Now, I get it. I really do. When you don't understand something, when the media and people are writing stuff or making videos for clicks, they prey on the person's fear of something new. I've been hearing how dangerous AI is, and there's certainly some truth to that. It's going to take over the world. Well, that's scary, but what we're talking about, and that may happen, but it's not happening right now. It truly is available to do some good things for us. Let me read a little something that the AI told me how to use itself. Is using AI to ask questions is not that different from using Google. And I would totally agree with that. Again, this is what the AI told me. You're not giving it your social security number. You're not connecting it to your bank account. You're just asking questions. And the way I want you to think about this, the way I think about it is if I just had a really smart friend, and I mean not just the smartest person in the room is who I'm talking to. You're not connecting your bank account. You're just asking questions, having a conversation. It's a weird phenomenon when you try this. If you're bold enough to try it, I'm going to challenge you here in a moment to try it with me. Think of it like this. It's like calling up someone who knows a lot about a lot of things and asking them for advice. That's it. That's all it is. And that's what happened the other morning with 3 cups of coffee. Now, if I'd been drinking bourbon from Kentucky, you might want to question what I'm telling you today, but I wasn't. It's not going to access your private information unless you give it to them. I know people that will put their blood results in. I've actually done that. I've said, what does this blood panel say about my condition? It won't judge you for asking dumb questions. As a matter of fact, you're going to find these things are really complimentary. They're very you'll see. They really make you feel good. They're very complimentary. They don't cost you money. There are free versions for all these things that will do all these things for you. And they don't do anything without you telling it to. And that's very important. It doesn't take over in any way. It just responds and gives you answers to your questions. Yes, it is not 100%, but so far, I've only caught it in 2 mistakes, which were minor in the conversations I've had with it regarding this kind of stuff. So what it is a tool like a calculator or a phone or the internet itself. When the internet first came out, people were scared of that too. I'll get a virus. Someone will steal my identity. It's too complicated. Now, right now, I'm getting the feeling of this is the AI telling me what it is. So it's like, it's very persuasive, is it not? Stay with me. And yes, you have to be smart about it. Don't give strangers your credit card number. Don't click suspicious links. Same common sense applies. But most of us figured out email. We figured out Google. We maybe even figured out Facebook or YouTube. You're watching this video right now. Although I know there's a lot of you old timers out there, because I talk to you almost every day at my job, that pull out that little pager you use for people to get in touch with you. And you're very proud to tell me, I don't touch this stuff. I don't touch this technology. I know, kind of like my grandparents who never owned a car. The real risk. You want to know what the real risk is? Again, this is the AI talking to me. It's not trying AI and something bad happening. The real risk is sitting on the sidelines while this technology solves problems for everyone else. The real risk is staying stuck when there's a tool that could help you. And I like the idea of the help concept here. This is advice. I can, and you can go verify all the information it's giving you. You can continue to do research, which is what I obviously will do and have done, but we don't have to get stuck. And let me tell you, I was excited the other morning saying, wow, I can do this. I can verify this information, like how to open up a custodial account. I know what a custodial account is. I'll put this as a real quick insert here. Doing more discussion with the ChatGPT, I don't think I'm going to do the custodial account yet. I'm going to keep it in my account. Reasons for that another time. If you don't try it, you'd be lying awake wondering how to leave something for my grand. Yeah, I would. It's telling me here what it feels. Well, if I don't try it, I'm going to wake up someday and say, maybe with a regret, that I should have tried it, because this is a long-term play. This is something I can do now. I don't have anything to give them today, but how I'm going to put this little bit of money away. It's going to be tuck it away. And after I'm gone, they get this. And think of that'll be a cool day when hopefully their parents and them can sit down and say, here's what Pop did, and here's why he did it. And look at it now. Go out and buy yourself a Maserati. Actually, I will put a stipulation. They will not be allowed to spend a penny of it on a Maserati. But what if you try it and it actually helps? So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to put together a free starter guide, and I want to encourage a conversation between me and you and other boomers of the What's Up Boomer community and channel. And let's see what our experiences are. Let's share them with one another. And here's how we will do it. In my starter guide, I'll show you how to set it up. Very simple. Again, it doesn't cost anything. I'll give you the pointers. And of course, if you've already done this, you're already ahead there. You can get into asking the questions. I'm going to give you a couple different ideas of questions to ask. And I would be very interested to see what you learn with regard to these questions. That'll all be in the guide, where we'll have discussions, and we'll be talking about that on the SKOOL school group, which I'll leave a link here. And also the other, if you prefer to just read, subscribe and watch for the newsletter. You can ask for this guide with these questions and prompts and the how-to either place at the school community or with the newsletter, which comes from Substack. I will actually post the guide in the school community, and you can just work it from there. Be a lot of fun. I think that'll be kind of fun. Or you can, like I said, get it in your email and work through it from home that way. So here's what I think. We're not done as 60-year-old retirees, 70 years old. There's a world out there that we need to accept, at least to some degree. And I know there's a lot of people that say, I don't want to touch this stuff. But I want to maybe encourage you or challenge you. Show me where I'm wrong. Show me an example where this has destroyed somebody. I mean, it's possible, I certainly. And again, we're not going to take this as blind advisement. We're going to continue to verify what we've learned or what we find out. We're going to be smart about it. I think it's a way for us to stay engaged in the world, be active with what's happening out there in our world today, and actually is a form of connection. And I'm excited about what you might learn, what I might learn in terms of how to live, the opportunities that we face, how it could help us take advantage of these opportunities, especially if we need to work, or if we need to supplement our retirement, or if we need to maybe adjust our retirements. We could get some pretty good advisement, I think, or at least some new ideas. That's it. We're going AI, baby. I hope you'll give it a shot. I hope you'll share with me in the comments below, via the newsletter, or at the school community, what you find out. Okay? We just might be really surprised.